She only meant to return a lost wallet, but the faded photograph hidden inside stopped one of the most powerful women in America in her tracks. The smiling young woman in that tiny picture looked exactly like her late mother. Within seconds, the billionaire CEO felt her entire world collapse beneath her feet, while the exhausted single father kneeling across from her had no idea that one forgotten wallet was about to uncover a family secret buried for more than 30 years. If you believe kindness, forgiveness, hope, and second chances can change lives, please take a moment to like this video, leave a thoughtful comment, share it with someone you care about, and subscribe to our channel. Your support helps our community continue sharing stories that remind us the human heart is stronger than pride. Cassandra Whitmore had built her reputation on certainty. As the 46-year-old chief executive of one of the country's largest architectural development companies, she was known for making billion-dollar decisions without hesitation. Investors admired her confidence, competitors feared her discipline, and employees respected her relentless work ethic. Yet beneath the polished image lived a woman who had quietly carried the loneliness of losing her mother, Evelyn, when she was only 16. Evelyn had rarely spoken about her life before marriage, leaving behind little more than old journals, faded recipes, and unanswered questions. Cassandra had accepted long ago that some mysteries were never meant to be solved. That bright spring morning, the headquarters buzzed with activity as executives hurried across the marble lobby preparing for an important charity conference. Sunlight poured through the towering glass walls, reflecting across the polished floor while volunteers arranged flowers for an afternoon fundraising event supporting struggling families. Cassandra believed successful businesses should also strengthen communities, and this annual gathering had become one of her most meaningful traditions. Across town, Grant Mercer had started his day before sunrise. At 38, he worked as a maintenance technician for several commercial buildings while raising his 9-year-old daughter, Nora, alone. Since losing his wife to a sudden illness 5 years earlier, every morning had become a careful balancing act between work, school lunches, overdue bills, and making sure Nora never felt abandoned. He often skipped meals so she could enjoy simple comforts that made childhood feel normal. His clothes were clean but worn, his boots carried years of hard labor, and exhaustion had become a permanent shadow beneath his eyes. Grant arrived at Whitmore Tower to repair a damaged climate control system on the upper floors. It was another ordinary assignment, another day of fixing problems no one else noticed. During a brief lunch break in the lobby, he paid for a sandwich, slipped his wallet back into his pocket, and rushed toward the elevators after receiving an urgent maintenance call. He never realized the wallet had fallen onto the marble floor. Minutes later, Cassandra walked through the lobby reviewing documents with her assistant when something brown caught her attention near the reception desk. She bent down, expecting to find another misplaced business card holder. Instead, she picked up a weathered leather wallet whose edges showed years of careful use rather than neglect. She intended to hand it to security without another thought. Then a small photograph slipped onto the floor. She instinctively picked it up. The world around her suddenly disappeared. Inside the faded photograph stood a young woman with warm eyes and gentle curls wrapped around the shoulders of a smiling teenage boy. The woman wasn't merely similar to her mother. She was her mother. Cassandra's hands began trembling so violently she nearly dropped the picture. The date written on the back read June 1988, nearly a decade before Cassandra had been born. How could her mother be holding a child she had never mentioned? Security quickly located Grant before he left the building. Confused and embarrassed, he returned to the lobby expecting questions about identification or misplaced credit cards. Instead, he found the CEO herself staring silently at the photograph. Grant recognized it immediately. That picture had been inside his wallet for as long as he could remember. It had belonged to his grandmother. She had always told him the woman beside young Lucas Mercer, Grant's father, was someone who had once saved their family during the darkest chapter of their lives. Her name had been Evelyn. Whenever Grant asked why she disappeared from their lives, his grandmother simply smiled sadly and said that sometimes good people carry impossible burdens. Neither Grant nor Cassandra understood why fate had brought them together. Cassandra invited Grant into a private conference room despite the increasingly anxious schedule waiting outside. Every executive meeting suddenly felt insignificant compared to the mystery resting between them. Grant carefully explained everything he knew. His father, Lucas, had grown up without wealth or privilege. During his teenage years, after losing his own mother temporarily to serious illness, a compassionate young volunteer named Evelyn had helped care for him through a neighborhood community center. She encouraged him to stay in school, brought groceries when money disappeared, and became the closest thing to family during one difficult summer. Then one day she vanished. No letters. No explanation. Only the photograph remained. Cassandra struggled to process every word. Her mother had never spoken about volunteering during those years. She had never mentioned Lucas Mercer. Driven by questions she could no longer ignore, Cassandra returned to her family estate after the conference ended. She spent hours searching through boxes that had remained untouched since her father's passing. Dust-covered forgotten journals, old letters, and carefully labeled photo albums. Late that afternoon, hidden inside a small cedar chest beneath folded scarves, she discovered a sealed envelope addressed simply, "For the day truth becomes necessary." With shaking hands, she opened it. Inside rested another photograph identical to the one from Grant's wallet, accompanied by several handwritten pages. Evelyn explained that before marrying Cassandra's father, she had devoted years to helping struggling families through a local outreach program. Lucas Mercer had become like the younger brother she never had. When Cassandra's wealthy grandfather discovered their close friendship, he demanded Evelyn abandon what he considered embarrassing associations that threatened the family's social reputation. Faced with losing everything, including the man she loved and the future she hoped to build, Evelyn made a heartbreaking decision. She walked away. Not because she stopped caring. Because she believed Lucas deserved a future untouched by powerful people who judged him unfairly. For decades she quietly wondered whether he had built a happy life. Cassandra finished reading through tears. The elegant portrait of her mother hanging in the corporate lobby suddenly felt incomplete. Behind every graceful smile had lived silent regret. The following morning, Cassandra asked Grant to meet again. She handed him the letter. As he slowly read Evelyn's words, years of inherited confusion finally gave way to understanding. His father had passed away believing he had simply been forgotten. Instead, he had been deeply loved by someone forced into an impossible choice. Grant quietly admitted life had become increasingly difficult since losing his wife. Nora needed tutoring, their apartment required repairs, and medical bills from his wife's illness still haunted him. Yet he had never wanted charity. He simply wanted dignity. Cassandra saw something remarkable in him. Not desperation. Strength. She began asking about his work experience and quickly discovered Grant possessed extraordinary technical knowledge despite never receiving opportunities for higher education. Supervisors consistently praised his honesty and problem-solving skills. Within weeks, Whitmore Development launched a skilled trades apprenticeship and advancement program inspired by Grant's story. Rather than offering him a handout, Cassandra offered him leadership of maintenance operations after completing specialized management training fully funded by the company. Grant accepted with quiet gratitude. He earned every promotion through determination rather than sympathy. Meanwhile, Cassandra established the Evelyn Outreach Foundation, honoring the mother whose greatest acts of compassion had remained hidden for decades. The organization focused on supporting single parents, trade education, emergency housing, and mentorship for teenagers facing difficult circumstances. For the first time, Evelyn's private kindness became a public legacy. Little Nora's life transformed as well. She gained educational support, discovered a love for engineering, and often visited Whitmore headquarters where employees affectionately nicknamed her the future architect. She reminded everyone that hope often begins with one person choosing to care. Months later, during the dedication ceremony for the foundation's new community center, hundreds gathered beneath the afternoon sun. Families laughed together while children played across the courtyard. Volunteers planted flowers along walkways named after ordinary people whose quiet compassion had changed lives without recognition. Cassandra stood before the audience holding both photographs. One belonged to her mother. The other had traveled inside Grant's wallet through decades of unanswered questions. She realized neither picture represented loss anymore. Together they represented connection. The ceremony concluded with the unveiling of a simple plaque carrying words taken directly from Evelyn's letter. Kindness never truly disappears. It simply waits for the right heart to discover it again. Grant looked toward the sky, imagining his father finally understanding the truth that had remained hidden for so many years. Cassandra felt as though she had finally met the part of her mother history had forgotten. Neither could change the past, but together they ensured its lessons would shape countless futures. The greatest surprise had never been the photograph itself. It had been discovering that compassion leaves fingerprints across generations, quietly connecting strangers until the day they become family in ways no one expected. Before we reach the end, we'd love to hear from you. Have you ever discovered a family secret, received unexpected kindness, or found forgiveness where you least expected it? Leave a meaningful comment below and share the lesson this story reminded you of. If this story touched your heart, please like this video, leave a meaningful comment, share it with someone who needs hope today, and subscribe to our channel so you never miss another emotional journey. Remember that a small act of kindness, like returning a lost wallet, may seem ordinary in the moment, but it can unlock healing, restore broken hearts, and reveal that even the deepest secrets can lead to hope, forgiveness, and a brand new beginning.